So, hello everyone. My name is Oleh. I'm a technical QA engineer at the GlobalLogic, and I'm going to show you actually how to cope and how to test with the problems that can appear. So during the API testing, and you also might face this task, for example, when you will be when you will be performing the integration testing. This is actually the first point that actually can be covered during this session. So, and we will just have a closer look to the API and just to verify how the API works, etc. So we have just a couple of topics that should be covered. So especially the practical one and how to write the documentation, because the documentation is pretty important here. So it's this one is also should be clear for you how to specifically document it, because documenting is the main part of the specifically of the API testing, and it's just like, just the guide how you did it and the guide for any further colleagues who will just take this over and take over the cases, take over everything. So, and just the stuff like this. Okay, so in this session, I'm going to use the first thing, which is actually called, the service, which is actually called the Open Weather Service. And I'm actually going to share my screen just for you. And this is going to be the next thing that I'm going to show you. This is just the service by specifically itself. So this service is called the Open Weather. So, and the Open Weather is the service that actually, as you understood, just tells us, okay, so I have some forecast for you, weather forecast, I mean. So I have some weather forecast for you, and this is just fine. You can ask me by searching some city, etc. So just and ask for the different weather. But we will do it in just a little bit different way, not just asking from the website. Specifically, I have written the little, just small, I don't know, application, so which is called weather.py. So this actually from the beginning of its naming, so you just can understand. So this is based on Python language, and actually what I have some key elements of this application, which is API key that goes from this free open weather subscription. And I have some parameters. Actually, this is the city for which I want to ask, for example, some specific weather conditions. Yes. And the URL address specifically for this request. Yes, with the city and with the API key just added there. So, and it just should be pretty straightforward. Okay, and also I just need to have the response. So which is response just operates the requests get the requests module with the get parameter. Okay, so and if, for example, we have the response code 200, so everything should be right. We should just take this JSON and just we need to get the temp to some temporary store some data like main temp, etc. So and print the temperature in kelvins. Okay, so kelvins are okay, but we will just modify this. Okay, so let me just show you how it works. I have some API keys which are specifically created for this test purpose here. So this is one API key and the second test API key, so which are located for the on the Open Weather service. So I have this subscription. It's free subscription. Yes, some options can be just, let's say they can be disabled. But anyway, so if you need more, you can subscribe and just pay some money for that specifically. So, and what we need to test, we need to test those requests to the service, yes, to the service and to the servers, and actually get some information from this one. Let me just try it, and we just need to ask some specific temperature from the specific, let's say, city. Let's take London. Okay. It seems like it's 287.8 94 degrees in Kelvin metric system. So that seems like okay, but actually, so Kelvin is good, but actually it should be modified because Kelvin is just more for laboratory maybe, or for some things that are related to the for study, or for, I don't know, for some science points like this. Okay, but anyway, we performed this request. What actually we did, yes, as I said, so with this API, I'm asking the server, so okay, server, tell me the weather for the city using this request. Let's just open this request, yes, but in Postman. So Postman is just defined with that absolutely. So I have this request predefined for you right now, and I can just simply open this with those parameters, like, for example, Manchester City, or just let's take London again. Okay, like this, London, and my API key, and just in Kelvins, yes, like this. Okay, let me send this request. And what I have in the response, I have specific JSON file that contains this information, especially like the weather conditions, even more that we need to have the weather conditions and just the base stations. Like in base file, we have the temperature, and it feels like this this meaning and this meaning and this meaning, etc. We have also visibility, rain, clouds, etc. This is the JSON structure, so which looks pretty structured and it's pretty good. Also, we can read this in XML, but it's just, okay, it's human readable, yes, but it's not good for the, let's say, for any quick review. Yes, you need to understand, so each separate comma parameter is specifically parameter, yes. But now, in JSON file, we have object, which is called weather, and it has its own parameters. And this is how JSON is even better, is the way better than the XML, because we have object and we have each parameters, like in a programming language. Yes, if we have some object, we can just insert the parameters of this object. So it's pretty logically and well tailored for us. Okay, so this is what we did actually. We requested this information, yes, and the result of this information is being shown here. So it means that in response, we get this JSON file, data means response JSON in the JSON format. Yes, and we are simply taking the necessary parameters, which are actually called like main, temp, and this is pretty it. So this is enough what we need to do with that. Yes, okay, and now we are testing this API that it responds correctly, etc. Okay, this is it. And let's just add some parameters to our code, because we can do more with that JSON. Yes, for example, I don't like, for example, Kelvins. I just want to know this in Celsius degrees, yes, in this metric system. And what I'm doing now, I'm just simply changing it to Celsius, and let me just run it for you one more time. Here it goes. We're just taking Manchester. And okay, so it's still responding in Kelvins, but anyway, so let me just fix it, no problem. So it's in the units, in units, it means metrics. And let me just do it like this and just do the rerun of this section. Okay. Well, it seems to be no problems here. So, and just go to bash and ask him one more time for the, okay, for this code. Let's take London, for example, just for a quick check. And the temperature right now is 14.92 degrees of Celsius. This is pretty nice. So we have tailored this for us. So now we know how it specifically can be in Celsius degrees. So it's pretty fine. What we need to do also, I want to know more parameters, yes? For example, okay, let's change the units and units and actually set metric in our API. Yes, I'm getting back to my Postman, and what I'm adding here, I'm adding now this parameter which is called units and metric, and let's request for Manchester, for example. Okay, this is not correct. Okay, Manchester, and let's just make this send. Okay, what do we have here? So we have the temperature in Celsius and the humidity and pressure, etc. So we have changed the metric, yes, this metric system, yes. We need to actually, we can request a different type of information and it just responds to us in the metric system. This is pretty good for that. Okay, because as for human understandable format, Celsius is better. Yes, we just can understand so how it is. And actually which temperature we have there. Okay, that looks good. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm just adding the next thing. I have feels like parameter. I want to ask using my application, okay, how it feels like, how this specific degree feels like just in human understanding. Yes, I'm just uncommenting those two parameters that we are taking again from the JSON file, and it's called like main feels like, etc. Yeah, and I need to print it. I need to uncomment only those two sections because feels like data, main and feels like. Okay, so I'm asking simply main section. Let's go to the main section. Yes, main section, main object, let's call it like this. It's better to say object. And we're asking now this parameter. Yes, because before that, we actually specifically started asking like temperature parameter, but it's not enough. I need to know how it should be feels like, because I don't want, for example, I want to bring my, I don't know, like raincoat or just, I don't know, or wind cheater, doesn't matter. So I like this. Okay, okay, I just uncommenting f like, and I'm uncommenting feels like, and this feels like is been shown here. So in the Celsius, it's pretty fine. And just let's start this. Okay, shows us the syntax error, but anyway, so let's restart it in such section. It's not the problem. So we have the weather and we have Manchester now. Manchester. Okay, I have two parameters right now. It's temperature, like, yes, and feels like this actual result, yes, like 12.72 Celsius, almost 13. Yes, but the difference is here. It's just pretty good. Okay. So what is in request? Actually, yes, what is in request? In request remains the same, pretty the same, because now we are working with this Manchester request, and it shows us. Let me check the data. Okay, now it's just the temperature minimum. It's just right now for it's like okay, 12.65 doesn't matter because the weather is changing. Now it's just getting colder a little bit, so it's pretty fine. Let me just test it. Manchester. Nice. And yeah, now it's just even colder, so it's pretty good. So, you know, it's just in the real time, this application. Let's get to the Postman. It shows me so how the weather is changed. So it's just getting colder just second by second. Okay. So now it's pretty good. And just don't forget that we are not changing our request. It just simply remains the same with the API key, with the units metric, etc. Okay. Actually, so how to define that our response code, for example, is okay. You just can visit your JSON file, just verify that the JSON file has this response code. Okay, this is like the code of response 200. It means everything's fine. It just also shows the ID of this request and the time zone of this request. So we are pretty, let's say we have the pretty understandable manner of showing the information, and it's very nice. Okay, let me add some more parameter, which is called the description, because, for example, I just need to know, so what the weather condition outside, I don't know, it's like rainy or just, I don't know, the thunderstorm or something like this. Okay, let me uncomment this section. That goes to the data, weather, and description. So let's just access this point because we can completely make the complete decomposition of this JSON file. Okay, so wind, clouds, DT, etc. Okay, now we have weather and we have the description that we have now in Manchester, specifically the broken clouds. Yes, I want to add this, and that's why I'm uncommenting this section, so which is called weather description. What's the weather and what's the description? So the weather, this is our object. Yes, as you can see, we have the object weather, and I'm asking in this weather object, I am asking for specific parameter, which is called description, and it says, okay, there are broken clouds. Okay, that's good. And this is pretty it. Let me uncomment the print section. Yes. And it just shows, okay, so that you need to show the description and this data from the weather and from the description section. Okay, let me just simply run my code. Everything should be all right with that. Let me get to the bash. Okay, and here it is, verify. Let me just take London. I want to know, so what is in London specifically? Okay, we have moderate rain right now, so in London, and we have like the temperature 15.15 Celsius, feels like 14.71 Celsius is pretty, yes, it's, let's say the moderate temperature, and we have the description for the moderate rain, yes, because as a condition outside. And what I'm actually paying, what I'm actually doing right now. So I'm just simply asking here about London in my Postman from that request. Yes, that looks like everything is good. We have sent request using this API key. It's just pretty nice. And what we have moderate rain. Yes, this is correct. Yes, we have some feels like and temperature conditions and temperature minimum. We can also add even more parameters here. Yes, we can add like a parameter about, okay, like humidity, like pressure, like temperature max, etc., like temperature minimum, and the rain, for example. Yes, it just let's say, so the volume, how much water do we have there, for example, or something like this. And the country and naming is here actually. So sunrise and sunset data. This is pretty it. Yes. Okay, so specifically, we have tested now the API of this service because we have the problem. Yes. And we have to just, for example, we have JSON file that we are requesting from this service. Yes, we are requesting it. We are getting the response as a JSON file. And what we are doing using this software, we're just simply unparsing this information. Yes, we are like opening this information and just we put this information in the correct way, in a human readable way, etc. Yes, this application doesn't have any, for example, any UI part, but it's possible to do it, like, I don't know, weather informer, I don't know, weather application. So, and basically, even the mobile application that runs on your smartphone, for example, so it just uses the same way. So it's, I don't know, like making the calls to the AccuWeather or just maybe to the OpenWeather also, doesn't matter. So to all services that provided and which is actually set in this application. Okay. Documenting those things. Yes, it's not pretty difficult like everybody thinks. What we need to do, we need to document specifically all those steps that we did. Yes, and I have written some test cases for you specifically. Okay, just to have and to verify the parameters that we need. I have this pretty nice and good looking test case template, but you will do it in that system that you have. For example, that can be Jira, or that can be test trail, or that can be just the simple Excel file that I have. And I'm just simply setting some project name, which is called, let's say, weather asker, like this. And I have the priority, which is pretty medium, let's say. And I have the description, can be test objective. This is weather application. Weather application. And also can be the author here, the reviewer, the version, the test execution date. For example, if you need to perform the verification of your testing. Okay, but I have collected some test cases. Yes, just let's say so that, for example, I want to test some status code validation for valid requests. So it's pretty much it's 200 response. Yes, like response. Okay. So I have some preconditions. Which preconditions I have? So for example, that my application is set, application is up and running. At least I have valid API key, etc. Yes, I have all those. Let's say, preconditions. Yes, and those preconditions are matching the necessary parameters. And for example, I have, I don't know, like Python 3 installed, etc. Like this, we are describing all those conditions that are included for proper conducting of those tests. Installed, yes. Like this, all these preconditions. Test steps, this is pretty simple. Let's say, so I have the first one, so I need to open application. Yes, open or run application, doesn't matter. Open weather application. Open weather application, for example. Then you need to go to some. Okay, so let me just go to the another point, like insert. Yes, what I need to do. So I need to insert the city, insert the name of the city, for example. Yes. And then, so what I need to do, so just verify the result like this. No, in this case, we just need to open Postman. Yes, open Postman. Open Postman. Open Postman, for example. And even more, we can just verify that the application is running now. Yes, and we need to add something. We need to just run the request. Okay, with appropriate parameters. Like what? Like API key. Yes, this is definitely, it's defined. Yes, it's like API key, for example, and some specific city. Yes, in Postman. For example, like I said. Okay, this is okay. Yeah, this is pretty it. Oh no, in Postman. Yes, and what I need to do also, so I need to verify where the valid our request is specifically valid. Verify that request is valid. Verify that request is valid. This is going to be like 5 points. Yes. Request is valid in JSON file. Even now is valid in acquired JSON file. Acquired JSON file. We are pretty nice with that. So because we have the response okay, so we do not have any problems with that. Input data here can be, for example, your API key. What else? City name. Yes. And city name. Expected result. This is going to be like, okay, response okay. Response okay. Okay, 200 is present in JSON file. is present in JSON file, and we are pretty good with that, yes, because we do not have any problems with that, any kinds of issues, everything's fine, and the actual result is the same. You can mention also the test environment. Execution status, we have pass. Yes, we have pass. Bug severity, we just setting it to medium, and the bug priority, let's say it's high, because if we do not get this response, we are failing. Okay, this is just the part of it, yes, and how to how to perform, yes, the documenting of the test cases. Also, we can generate, for example, or do not generate and perform the authenticating handling with invalid credentials. Let me just change a little bit my API key. Yes, I'm gonna change this here from 2 to 3. Yes, and just let's make a request. It actually should work. Yes, should work. I mean the application. Okay, it should ask me, yes, from the bash, because I have these changes. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, it's asking me from the city. Just, it's asking, yeah, because actually this part of logic is still working until I get the response. Yes, London. And it says that error fetching weather data. Why? Because in this in this case we have else, but that says that just actually makes that prints this error fetching weather data. If I, for example, because I cannot run this part of the code. Yes, it says that I cannot fetch the data. Okay, I'm gonna print it. Yes, because what I have the wrong API key. Yes, and pretty the same situation we got here. So I'm going to change 2 to 3 in my API key, and I'm going to send it. And it says, okay, it's a correct response. It also should be tested. I mean, this response, it also should be tested. And actually pretty it. This is the correct, absolutely correct behavior of our API. It says to us, invalid API key. Please just see your error 401 for more info. Yes, this is like the negative testing. But every time, if the API, for example, has the description, it's just the good way, and this is the correct way of presenting the API or something like this, we can go and verify this documentation part. Like, let me put this, okay, site here. And it says to us, okay, API error section can contain such things like API calls return an error 404, 492, 500, 409 client error, yes, because we have this wrong API key, and this is pretty much it. Okay, so it looks like we have the properly documented it, yes? And this is the way how you should document. For example, when we are expecting 401 response code, yes? If we have the wrong credentials, for example, yes, we have the different, we have, I don't know, like outdated API key, all these sections and all this functionality should be tested because yes, just API, if we have the wrong credentials, it should prevent this. It should just stop us from doing something. Yes, it should just say, so, okay, you're not allowed to do this. And this is pretty the same. What is about Postman? So it's just good to test those ones. Yes. Also, I have created a lot of things that are related to the other services. Yes, for example, like I have here some request to the location about okay, the solar energy panel. So I need to count. So how, for example, how much of solar energy I can expect, for example, from the solar panels. It just makes the prediction, but it's paid function. Yes, it's paid function, and it's kind of a response that we just had. It's like 401, yes, and it just tells us, cool response, by the way, it just tells us that please note that using solar energy panel prediction is a separate subscription. Yes, I need to have subscription, and then API will just will respond me with that information that I'm asking, but I have now free subscription, yes, and this is pretty it. It just sends me the information, so, okay, you can ask, but just please, just change the subscription. This is the way how it should be done. Yes, this is the correct API answer. Okay, and also I have like pretty much of it. So and actually, so as for the locations, for example, yes, This is for the same solar energy like this. I had also a couple of things that are related, for example, to my city. Yes, also I can ask it, doesn't matter if you even do not have, yes, the working application. Yes, if you are, for example, have the API documentation which is ready, and you have API, let's say you have API and you have some backend which is actually ready, it's functional. You just can simply document by writing such requests, yes. And for the responses, you can properly document it. And this is pretty, and then you will have the application, you can test it. So it can be totally a test-driven approach, for example, like this. Okay, so actually that was pretty good. Okay, so thank you for listening, and thank you for your attention. I hope that your API testing will be fast and understandable and pretty good, and there is I don't know, no troubles there will be with that. So because you need to have proper documentation of it and the proper commands and the proper way, even now. So okay, I'm wishing you good with your API testing.